was all of us afraid by then, all the women of Whitechapel. Any one of us could have been next. Just my luck, I'd said. A few days ago, this man came down to the workhouse wanting to interview us. Nice young man, clean, nice clothes. You know the type, a do-gooder. He had this scheme he was working on where he wanted to save the kids from the evils of the workhouse. Well, that's all well and good, sir, I said to him. But we can't even save ourselves, us women can't. How are we supposed to save anybody else? Well, the Ripper, he don't want kids. It's women he wants. And us well, you know, us being what we are, nobody cares about us. He went to the newspapers after my death, and the inquest too. Said he remembered me because of what I said. Said I'd predicted my own death. And I had too. Just my luck, I'd said to myself. My name's Liz, Liz Stride. They call me Long Liz. I'm an immigrant. I'm from Sweden. Came here to London for a better life. Ain't that a laugh? I ain't had nothing but bad luck since. I'm a widow. Lost my husband and my children, and that steamship went down in the Thames in '78. The Princess Alice. Oh, you remember it.
Oh, come on now, Liz. Why are you going to be lying to these good folks? You wasn't on that steamship, you never did have no children, and your husband died of heart failure, and that a full 6 or 7 years before the Princess Alice went down.
Oh, you mind your business, Kate Eddowes.
Oh, come on now, Liz. We is each of us stripped to our deceptions in death. We must stand before our Maker with all our faults revealed. Liz tells that steamship story all the time. It helps her get sympathy.
You mind your own business, Kate Eddowes.
Oh, Liz relies on the charity of the church. And anyone else what'll give it to her.
Well, there's less honest ways of making a living.
And what are you implying?
It's better to cast yourselves on the mercies of the charitable than to... Well, like I said, there's less honest ways.
I think we need to tell the truth, Liz. Neither one of us was too given to selling ourselves on the street. You had your church, and I had my man, my Johnny. But neither one of us was too good to peddle our wares when times was lean. We was both out on that street for the same reason that night, Liz. Well, morning rather. Wee morning hours of 30th September, when we both met the Ripper. No secrets in death, Liz.
Well, you ain't got no right to be so proud.
I ain't proud. I'm just saying we should be honest.
I don't want to talk about myself anymore.
Tell them what happened that night. Just tell them about it.
They know what happened. Same as happened to you and all the rest of them. Oh, that Ripper, he was a smart one, all right. Had a right laugh at their expense. And mine. Oh, the place he took me, Dutfield's Yard. There was a private club in one of them buildings. The International Working Man's Educational Club. It was a club for socialists is what it was. And almost every man and member there was a Jew. Everybody knew that. That's why the Ripper took me there. Wanted to make it look like it was the Jews what done it.
There was a bit of bad feelings at the time about the Jews. Lots of people thought the Whitechapel murderer was a Jew.
Well, that's just what he wanted them to think.
No Englishman could have done such a thing, they said. It had to be a foreigner. And by foreigner, they meant Jew.
Oh, there's lots of immigrants in the East End. Well, I never had any trouble with them myself. Never treated me no better, no worse than anybody else. They was the one that said Leather Apron was a Jew. I don't know. I'd never met him. Now that I think about it, the Socialist Club was the perfect place. I mean, I thought he took me there because in Dutfield's Yard it was dark. He wanted a bit of privacy. I thought there's no way a murderer would apply his trade with all these people around. That's just before I saw the gleam of the knife in the darkness.
Turns out it wasn't the best place for him, though. He didn't have time to take his time. Had to leave. Wasn't satisfied. That's why he had to come back and get a second girl and rip her up.
And I suppose you're saying that's my fault?
That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it explains it. Why he took two of us in one night. After he left Liz here in Dutfield's yard, he took about a 10-minute walk, and then he met me. Took me to Midas Square. You want to talk about should have known better? Midas Square is enclosed by businesses. It's all closed at night. There's nobody there, it's deserted, there ain't no lights or nothing. I couldn't even see the knife, it was so dark.
And by that time, they'd found my body in Dutfield Square and raised the alarm.
Oh, there were coppers everywhere. There was even one in Midas Square. His beat took him through about 1:30, and when he came back through about 1:45, he found me. Oh, what was left of me, laying there with my head next to a coal grate, all cut to pieces. In less than a quarter hour, he met me, took me to the square, murdered me, and then did what he did.
Tell him everything. You're so much about telling the truth. Tell him what he took.
He cut off a piece of my skirt and took it with him.
That's not all he took.
Don't you gloat, Liz Stride. It could have been you if there hadn't been so many people there and he hadn't had to get away.
Tell him what he took.
Some things are not decent to speak of. My kidney. My left kidney, that's what he took with him. Are you happy now?
Oh, nothing about this makes me happy.
Cut my face all up too. Cut my nose clean off.
That's not everything.
It's damn well enough.
I tell the coppers didn't see how he could take two of us in such a short period of time and then get away without nobody seeing nothing.
And then he didn't even get gone straight away. He took his sweet time about it. Took a walk for a few blocks and came upon a Jewish tenement building, left that piece of my bloody skirt there for the coppers to find, and wrote a message on the wall in chalk on the tenement building. The Jews are the men that won't be blamed for nothing. It sounds like gibberish to me, but it would have been enough to get the East End fired up. They weren't far from stringing Jews up from the lampposts.
Oh, I tell the coppers wash that off the wall before anybody saw it. They knew there'd be riots.
Well, if that's what the Ripper wanted, his fun got spoiled.
Oh, he had his fun all right.
I reckon he did at that. My Johnny had pawned his boots, so we'd have a little money. And I was going to see my daughter Anne that day to ask her if we could borrow a little something, if she could help us get on our feet. Turned out Anne had moved since I saw her last, and she didn't leave no word from me where she was going. I guess she got tired of me asking for money just like my brothers and sisters. There's a limit, I guess, to how much you can impose on family. I took that money Johnny gave me from his boots and I bought a bottle with it. I was a mess by the time the coppers arrested me, took me in to sleep it off. Around 1 o'clock, they turned me out. They reckoned I was sober enough. All I could think was I gotta get that money for Johnny's boots. I met the Ripper about 15 minutes later. I got this tattoo. TC for Tom Cochran, my ex-husband. He put it on me like a brand. Back then it didn't matter so much. That's how Johnny knew I was dead, the tattoo. He read it in the paper. They was describing the victim as of yet unidentified, and they mentioned the tattoo. Before that, he'd been looking for me. He told the police. I went out into the street where them crowds was gathered, talking about those 2 fresh murders. I stood right there, right by where my gal laid, all cut up, and I never knew the difference.
Well, at least they didn't have so much trouble identifying your body. Well, they had a terrible time with mine because of that woman. Malcolm, her name was, Mary Malcolm. She said I was her sister, Elizabeth Watts, and that I'd been borrowing money from her for years and was a drunk and a prostitute.
A drunk and a prostitute? Well, that don't sound nothing like you.
Oh, you be quiet. Mary Malcolm testified that she'd woke up in the middle of the night and felt her sister kiss her on the cheek like she was kissing her goodbye. She woke up and knew that something terrible had happened. When they brought her into where they were keeping my body, she burst into tears. Oh, that's her! Oh, that's her! That's my poor sister. A few days later, the real Elizabeth Watts turned up alive and well. Turned out she hadn't talked to her sister in years, and she wasn't too happy about the lies she'd been spreading about her.
Imagine the surprise Elizabeth Watts must have felt when she read in the paper that she'd been a victim of Jack the Ripper.
Oh, we were calling him the Ripper by then. He had his name by then. These letters had started coming into the police stations and the newspaper, claiming they was from the Whitechapel killer.
But they was all written in different handwriting.
One of them they think was a news reporter trying to sell more papers. The reason it was important is because it was how Jack the Ripper got his name. I got one of them here. You want me to read it to you? Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have had the last laugh when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on a horse and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get caught. Grind work the last one was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. I love my work and I can't wait to start again. You will soon hear from me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle from the last job to write with, but it went all thick like glue. I can't use it at all. Red ink will do, I hope. My knife is so nice and sharp, and I will get to work right away if I get a chance. Yours truly, Jack the Ripper. Some folks is inclined to think that it really was from the killer, because right after the newspaper got it, there was another murder. Me. Funny little games, he called it. Me dying was just a funny little game.
There was one letter that they knew came from the killer. It was addressed to a man named Lusk, who was the head of one of those vigilance committees that they hoped would bring the Ripper in.
He put out a big reward for the capture of the Ripper.
The way they knew that the letter was from the killer was because of what he mailed with it. Mr. Lusk, sir, I send you off the kidney I took from one woman. Preserved it for you. The other piece I fried and ate. It was very nice. I may send you the bloody knife that took it out if you'll only wait a while longer, and it's signed simply from L. Doctors examined the kidney and they determined it was the real thing. I reckon the riverhead has gone all right.
I heard tell the coppers brought in experts to examine those letters. Said that they looked like they was written by an educated man trying to sound not educated, just like what was written on the wall. I don't know how they can tell. Don't matter to me if the Ripper can read or write, educated man or not. I'm still just as dead, ain't I? We're all just as dead, don't you think?